Hi, everybody. Welcome back, everyone. We are continuing our conversation with Joseph. He's willing to share his experiences, and this one is particularly important because we're going to talk about how to not get discouraged, how to get up and still go out there despite of all the restrictions and despite of pandemic virus and whatever else they telling us that we need to stop our life for. But I'm really proud of Joseph for pursuing and going out there during the shutdowns and all kinds of things. So we both are excited to share this with you because a lot of you need to hear this before you give up on your dream, before you decide you cannot travel, because obviously the media makes it that you traveling outside of the country. Media currently discourage you to even travel outside of your town or outside of your state. So I'm gonna let Joseph share. So please share your experiences. Tell what dates you went, your latest travel to Ukraine, and how was it for you? How it is traveling to Ukraine and dating and meeting people during the virus pandemic, whatever, however they call it. You know how I call it, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was I all I could say it was an adventure. So I originally was supposed to go out to Ukraine in April of 2020. As we all know, that was in the height of the coronavirus, and so that's when they had everything shut down. So canceled my plane tickets, canceled my Airbnb, so I had all these vouchers that I had to deal with. So that was an adventure in itself, making sure that I had everything done. So one of the things that I would recommend, especially for those, is if you have travel insurance, you never know. It's one of those things that sometimes will help you out, which it did in this case for me.
Yes.
So then I was trying to get out in September, but then Ukraine had their lockdown. Ukraine actually locked down during that time. They weren't allowing any foreign travel during the month of September, and that happened. I was supposed to leave like September 8th, something like that, and then like 2 weeks before, the Ukrainian government was like, "Nope, we're shutting everything down for a month." I was like, "Here we go again." You know, like, cancel tickets, cancel Airbnb. And so I was like, all right, gotta stay persistent. I was like, and so but then once I found out the news that they were gonna open things up back in as after September 28th, I was like, all right, Joseph, it's time. I'm just going to go and I'm going to book my tickets as fast as possible to get to Ukraine as quickly as I could. So this was my second trip, so it was a lot easier. I use Airbnb when I go out there. I use Uber when I'm out there. I actually, from the first
Mm-hmm.
time I went out there, I bought a Ukrainian SIM card through Vodafone, and that just makes your life so much easier. And it's really inexpensive to get a phone plan while you're out there. So that was the best option for me. Now, during this time, I had to obtain medical insurance for the time that I was going to be staying in Ukraine. So I went to the Travel Ukraine website and purchased my insurance there. There's a link there at the US Embassy website online. They give you all
Mm-hmm.
the information where you need to go. And it costs about $2.30 a day. I mean, it's really inexpensive. And so, and my plan is my trip went from I arrived in Kiev in on October 31st, so on Halloween, I arrived,
Mm-hmm.
and I just recently came back the Sunday before Thanksgiving. So I was there for 3 weeks. So it was a good
Nice.
long
That's a
trip.
good long trip. Yes. Excellent.
And
Mm-hmm.
so that's what I can say is if you go for a long period of time. Don't go for a week, don't go for two. You got to
Yes.
go for a long time. It's the longer you can go, if you can exhaust your 90 days, do it. Because
Mm-hmm.
you definitely need the time. So traveling during the pandemic was actually probably the most easiest thing that I've gone through. Um, because just the fact is that no one's flying. So when I flew from JFK to Amsterdam, I had the whole middle row of the airplane to myself. So I was able to like lay down, enjoy myself, and then when I got into Amsterdam, they had to make sure I checked all my paperwork there before I traveled to Kiev. Um, and the other thing that I did before I traveled is I also took a PCR test. So the Ukrainian government said is as long as you have a negative PCR test within 72 hours of your arrival, you do not have to self-quarantine. So
Mhm.
I took the test before I left. I had my paperwork. I had everything ready to go. So when I got to
Where
Kiev,
did
I
you
could just
take it?
show.
Where did you take
I
it?
took I took it at the University Hospital here in Albuquerque,
Mm-hmm.
and they had everything printed online. So by the time I got to New York, I was able to print all my negative tests and have that ready. I just went to the business center in, I think it was Terminal 1 of JFK, um, but I was able to just print that off so that I had it ready for my
Mm-hmm.
trip. So now we're in Amsterdam. You know, that airport right now is crazy. There's people walking around spraying everything while you're going there. I mean,
Oh
just
my goodness.
they are on top of it. Like as soon as the flight leaves, this fumigation squad goes in and just sanitizes all the chairs, and they're really taking it serious in Amsterdam. So now the flight from Amsterdam to Kiev was it was packed. There was no
Mhm.
middle seats open. There was a lot of Ukrainians on that flight, and so they're all trying to get home during that time. So it was packed. So there I was hunkered next to the window with my mask and my goggles on, and
But it's a
you
short
know
flight though. It's only
it
three
is.
hours.
Yeah,
If
it's
maybe
very
even
short.
less.
It's
Yes.
like two and a half, something like that.
Yeah.
It's not long at all. And so as soon as I get through there, everyone's just, I know you know what Brisbane Airport's like, especially coming off a flight. It's just like everyone herds into the bus, and then we go from the bus into the terminal, and then right in front of passport control, it was just this mob of people just trying to get through. And one tip of advice I can give you is if you're trying to get through, stay on the outside and kind of just mosey on over there, and just kind of look around. And I was able to like go past a lot of people that are in the front. And so then I went over to the the military personnel that they had there, and she was
Mhm.
like, okay, you have your insurance. So I showed her my insurance. She's like, okay, where's your test? And I showed her my test, and she was just looking. So like, where does it say negative? So all she was looking for is where it said negative. And so I pointed it out, and then she was like, okay, went through passport control, not a
Mhm.
problem. Picked up my luggage. They did an extra screening for me before I left. And the agent that was there was just like, hey, what are you here for? Business, or vacation? I said, I'm here for vacation. He's all, great. And he's all, been to Ukraine before? I'm like, yes. And he's like, all right. Scanned my luggage and off I went. So not a problem. uh,
Mhm.
Switched out my SIM card, and then I just called Uber and went to my Airbnb. So traveling
Perfect.
was not a problem at
Yes,
all.
and I just want to say that it is pretty amazing that when you travel from US to Europe, the first big flight, which is probably about what 8-9 hours, it's a big flight, and it is pretty awesome because I talked to my other subscriber who also just came back, and he said, I mean, it's like the best thing because on a long flight you can stretch your legs, you have some breathing room. And I mean, it makes a huge difference. It's almost like you have a business class or first class because you have space. It's a little difficult, in the regular days it's usually packed, especially some parts of the year it is packed, so you almost get like a VIP treatment. I think that's pretty cool. And I want to ask you also a question. For example, what if the person does not want to take a test? Like, for example, myself, I'm planning, at some point to, go back and visit my family. I don't want anything, anybody touching me or testing me. So I'm not gonna, like, not sticking that thing in my nose. No. That's a no. So
So
I have a question to you. What if somebody feels like me? What do they do? Do you know what they do at the airport if you come, you don't have it? You have insurance, but you don't have a test.
well, if you come in, you have to take a test. There's
Okay.
no you. They actually have you can book an appointment there for Brisbane
Uh-huh.
to actually get a test there on site.
Uh-huh.
And and the reason why I wanted to do it beforehand is one is because I could have booked it there, but then they have to download a tracking app called Leave
Uh-huh.
Doma,
Uh-huh.
and it tracks you. And so like if you don't take the test, you take the test there, and then they're like, okay, you have to quarantine until you get your results back.
Yeah.
And
And you can quarantine with a person you are going to, you
right,
know?
right. So you have 24 hours. So once you take your test or once you get into Ukraine, you have to if you haven't had the test, you have to download that app. So
Mm-hmm.
if you don't want to do it, you're gonna have to wait until there's no tests required before you
Mm-hmm.
go, because they are very adamant
So
about it.
so if you that's what I've heard, that if you didn't have a chance, maybe take a test in the US, you can take a test in Borisville, and then you download that app. But it's funny to me because I mean, what's they gonna do? Okay, so you have your cell phone and you have a test. I mean, if you want to go somewhere really far away, you can just have your lady's phone and leave your phone at home. I mean, how's it?
Ah,
I feel it's more of a
that's
show because
th- they actually will message you, and
mhm.
they will actually have you take a picture and scan your room. And yeah, and they use that as your GPS location. And if you
Wow.
don't answer within a few hours or something like that, they will actually send a police officer to where you're staying.
Good.
They're
Yeah, you
actually
have somebody to have tea with.
Yeah. So that point is, if you're there with your special someone or your family, yeah, you're going to be there. Now,
Yeah.
I did find out through a friend is that they only track you during the day, but at late at evening, they don't track you anymore. So they won't send any messages. So you could technically go out at that
Yeah.
point. But during the pandemic, which leads me to my next thing, is that was extremely difficult because it was during lockdown in Kiev. So they had a lot of everything had to be closed by 10 o'clock. And then so that made it extremely difficult to go out and do anything, because Kiev
Mhm.
is a great place for nightlife, great clubs, great things to do.
Yeah.
And it was hard.
Yes, it is definitely an incredible city. But tell us how creative you. Well, first of all, you got places to see. There is architecture and things like this. But tell us what creative ideas you came up with, and what have you done on your dates?
So yes, I went out to meet about 8 women, because through
Mm-hmm.
if you watched the previous video before, I went through an agency, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna meet as many women as I can while I'm here. And
Mm-hmm.
so I had to use I don't know I I don't know how guys can like date a lot of women at the same time, because me, I had to use a calendar to keep track of who I was meeting, where I was meeting them, and it was too much for me. I was like, because I'm a guy that just we usually date someone, and we usually date one person,
No.
but
Women are
I'm
naturally better at multitasking. Let's keep it real. Go ahead.
yeah.
I'm
So
just kidding.
I had to use technology to help me out, because I would hate to show up for a date and call a woman the wrong name or something like that. It was just but so I most of my dates, they always started off either we started having coffee to just to get to know each other, just to talk, and if things progressed, then we move on to dinner. And during that time is that was that's how most of my first dates were. The one thing that I did on all my first dates is I always brought just a single rose for the date. um, and and then also one of the things I did for the ladies is also help them cover their taxi fare from wherever they were coming. And which is, if you guys are worried like, oh my gosh, you have to pay for all this stuff, it is not expensive. The rose costed me about $2. The taxi ride, maybe $6, maybe $7 for the cab ride for the lady, depending on where she's coming from. So when I went there, I only met with women that were from Kiev, but through the agency that I went through, I could have met people from a lot of different places, but I was like, no, just keep it local. Helps with that.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so I got to tell you about my first date, because this is epic. So get in Halloween, get everything unpacked. Kiev it was surprised. It was all people are dressed up in Halloween costumes. I was walking around in Independence Square, and I was like, all right. So I had a date that first night that I got in, and so we met for dinner at a great little restaurant by Independence Square called Family Familia, and it's a great little restaurant, and the prices are really good. That's one thing, gentlemen, you got to know. So when you go out, you can definitely get some really good food and not spend a lot of money on it. Can you spend money? Oh yeah, there's places that you can go that you're gonna spend a lot of money, and then there's places that are gonna be really good, but that are not that expensive.
Yeah, and the food
So
is amazing. The
it
food is
is.
amazing. It's
It's
worth the
so
flight.
fresh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is so fresh. You can tell that they get their produce almost every day,
Mm-hmm.
compared to what we're used to here in America. Yeah, the food is great. That's one of the things I love about Ukraine. And so we have dinner. Met this lady, and she's really nice. She actually spoke a little bit of Spanish, so which was a surprise for me. So I was like, all right. So I got to converse and talk to her a little bit of Spanish, and we had dinner. Then we went to this little bar to have a drink, and there was live music there. And then after that, we went to this club that was doing salsa dancing, because that's one thing that
Mm-hmm.
I love to do is salsa dance. I used to compete. I used to teach lessons, and so I was like, and she told me, she's like, yeah, there's a place we can go salsa dancing. I was like, all right. So I am like all excited for this, and we get to this club, and during the quarantine, I guess this is what they're doing to avoid being shut down. It's some clubs they'll let you in, but then they turn the lights off at 10 o'clock. And then it makes it look like no one's there, and everyone goes like downstairs to the basement area, and that's where everyone
Oh
is.
wow, that sounds
Yeah.
like fun.
So it was, and I felt kind of like, I was like, man, I feel kind
Was
of
it
bad doing
Caribbean
this.
Club? Did you go to
It was
Caribbean Club or what
it was
was it?
called Buena Vista Club.
Okay.
Um, it's not too far from St. Andrews
Mm-hmm.
church, and
Yep.
so it's right in that area. And so we get down there. We're got a couple drinks, and
Dancing in the dark?
yeah, no, the lights are
Let
all
me guess. Let
downstairs,
me
but
guess. You grab you dance with a different girl by accident.
no, right? That would have been funny. But as I'm sitting there, this this guy comes up to me, and he was like, "Why are you here with my wife?" And I'm like, "Whoa." And he's just like, and he started, and everyone started looking, because it was loud, and the lady I was with, her face was just like frozen. So it's like, because she told me, like, she's like, I come here all the time. I'm gonna introduce you to a bunch of my friends. We're gonna have a good time dancing. And then this guy just out of the blue, and he's like right in my face, like, why are you here with my wife? I'm all, your wife? And it was just crazy. And so I was like, I am not about to get into a bar fight my first night in Kiev. And so, needless to say, I left. Um, I just got my things, and she was talking to him, and I was just like, I'm not going to deal with this at all. And so I picked up and left. And so what ended up
That's
happening is,
interesting. Mm-hmm.
yeah. So what ended up happening later is the lady, she called me and was like, I'm so sorry. It was an ex-boyfriend. and I was completely embarrassed. And I didn't think you'd come to this place, and I brought you here, and that happened. And she was just so apologetic, and she's like, well, let me make it up to you. I'll take you out to dinner tomorrow. And so I was like, at that point, I was just like, okay, okay. I was like, I said, I understand you run into exes all the time, but yeah, this guy he was going to get violent. I could tell with the situation, and I was just like, if I would have, like, you know got in his face, then yeah, there would have been a fight there. And so I'm like, I'm not going to cause any trouble. I'm just going to excuse
Mhm.
myself at that
Very
point.
smart, very wise decision. Dear friends, I just want to comment on this because if something goes really wrong and something is, it's a major red flag. If the woman can, bring you somewhere and somebody claiming her right in front of you, that's a mess. Don't think that you're gonna be the hero. You're gonna get your gear on. You're gonna protect her. You don't know that maybe that may be somebody she's working with, and to it could be part of the scam. The woman that is available, she is available. She's not worrying about her husband's coming on your date.
Yeah. And so needless to say, we did have a second date, and everything's we're friends now. So that lady, and with her, just she's a great person. Uh, we still talk now. But it was an emotional roller coaster. It
Mm-hmm.
was like she was depressed, that she's, in Ukraine. She used to, travel. She used to do a lot of things, but then she lost her job, and so she's living with her sister. um and it just became extremely difficult for her. But I was just like, I can't be the one to fix you.
And
So
that's a great point. Very good. Wow, Joseph, I'm impressed. Excellent. Because
so
most men
yeah,
jump into let me fix your life point, and this is where you lose your goals.
right. And I told her, I said, if you're not happy here, what makes you think that you're going to be happy in America, or what's going to make you
Mhm.
happy somewhere else? Yes, it's a new surrounding and all that stuff, but you're here. What are you doing with your life to make it better? What are the things that you're doing? And she wasn't doing that. She was just expecting things to happen,
Mhm.
and I'm like, you can't do that. And
Mhm.
you know and that's one of the things. And I told her, I says, I will be more than happy to be your friend, but that's
Mhm.
all I can offer you.
Mhm.
So then, and we still, like I said, we still talk. She's a lovely person, but I said
Mhm.
one day you'll make a man happy, but you got to fix yourself first.
Mhm.
you know
And
and
this is very true. And um, another moment here is that you want the lady to be interested in you first, and then into where you gonna take her. If she, it sounds to me just with what you said that she was interested in you because you could possibly get her out of that rut and bring her somewhere else, which is,
right,
people in Ukraine also don't realize, they imagine life in the United States being like in movies. They don't imagine it to be, and it's difficult in other ways, even just adjustment and all of that. So if she is not there for the faint of heart, if she is not there because, oh my God, I'm in love with this man. Oh, he's an American. I guess that will involve me moving. If your first goal is to move and get to a better place, it can be really a challenge because when difficult times kick in and you have, you adjust in US, you adjust to new social norms, you adjust to at first not having a lot of friends, not having, so that's not going to help that your first goal was to move. When your first goal is to create a bond with a man, you can live anywhere. You maybe can move to Ukraine and live there. You can live somewhere in
right,
Europe. You can live in Africa if you want to. But that just tells you she didn't mean to tell you this. But when you gentlemen experience this situation, and as the lady complains about your life and she's not doing anything to make it better, that's something to think about, because she just wants you to solve your problems and she's just
right,
not, you are not her first goal, which is when the woman really wants to have connection with family, she needs to make sure you're the right man first.
Right. And it's important, which leads me, that was the biggest one. So that's one of my biggest red flags. I'm like, you can't be the man that's going to be her knight in shining armor, that's going to come in and rescue her from the tyranny of where she is in her life. So so that was one lady that I met. Like I said,
Mm-hmm.
wonderful woman, just not what I was looking for.
Mm-hmm.
Did meet another lady, and this one, she wanted to always go to the most expensive restaurants, always wanted to rent cars. She didn't want to take a taxi. She's like, I want to rent a car because it's uncomfortable for me to take a taxi to dinner. I'm like, really? I'm like, I take taxis. I'm fine, and it just
Mm-hmm.
that one, just to boil it down, just what she wanted is she wanted to see like how I could, like, her life, what her life would be like if she was with me. So it was
Mm-hmm.
constantly me giving, 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 but she never reciprocated anything back. And so because she asked me for like extraordinary expensive stuff, like she wanted this whole like year-long uh thing to this massage at the Palazzo Palace, which is like, it was like, it ends up being like $1,300, and she wanted
Mm-hmm.
me to give that to her as a gift, and I said no. And she's like, well, you can give me half, and I can go talk to my dad, and he can get it. I'm like, no. I'm like, we are not in a serious relationship. I said, that is just, that's not. And she's like, oh, well, you can help me find an apartment, give me $300. I'm like, no. I'm like, well, what would you have done if I wasn't here? How would you survive if you needed all this stuff and you didn't meet me? And I was like, I told her, and she got defensive, and she started like trying to manipulate me. She was saying, oh, I just laugh at men who can't take care of their ladies. And I'm just like, and I just knew, I just ended up blocking her on WhatsApp and Viber, and I was like, I ain't talking to you no more. And
Yeah,
it was
here
that.
is, if I can make a remark, I just want to state this. Every person has their level of income, their level of how they want to be involved as a man. The genuine woman, and I talk about this in my videos, is not going to ask you for the gifts.
Right.
The genuine woman you will feel, when you feel that connection, you feel, oh my gosh, that's a woman. You're gonna be thinking about everything and anything you can do for her, and you will be the driver of it. That's the main red flag. So for some people, $1,300, it's like 25 cents for somebody else. So for
Right.
some people, everybody has their level of how they vision their relationship, what they want to do for their lady. So I wouldn't be attaching to some particular numbers, even though there is certain things you can figure out this way as well. That was definitely, she definitely was trying to see the benefits without really connecting with you, or trying to get to know you. But once again, the main thing here, guys, is the the genuine, the classy lady. She is not going to be uh asking you for stuff. She is not the driver. You are. When you meet somebody special, she doesn't even need to open her mouth. You already thought about this and
Right.
that. And if she opens her mouth and she just barely hints, and she doesn't even have it in her mind that she just kind of considering a thought of something, you're gonna be that magician that thing shows up at her door, and it's not because she asked you. I know it's a kind of subtle red flag, but if you feel that she is the driver, uh there is something wrong, because you are the leader, the man, and you are the driver. You are the magician.
Yeah. It's true. And the thing is that when, but I also look at things very financially, and money, and this whole things with all of this, it wasn't a big thing. It wasn't an issue. But the fact is that, you know, I would definitely do those types of things for her. If we were engaged, I would be like,
Mhm.
absolutely, I'll help you out in any way financially that I could. But meeting someone for the very first time, and just doing all this stuff, it's like, yeah, that's that's a red flag. That shows me, like, even if I had even more money than what I do now, I live
Mhm.
comfortably. I don't have to worry about stuff. But I'm like, is this lady gonna empty the bank account, and then once it's gone, where's she going to go? Because
Mhm.
she's in this mindset of like, the more you provide, the more you give to me, the more, and the more she told me, she's like, well, the more you give me, the more I'll give back. And I'm like,
No.
that's not the way a relationship works. I said, there has to be, and like you said, as being the driver, when the man, you select something or you do something, yes, you want to give her something. It's not because she asks for it, it's because you want to give it for her. And that's totally different than from someone you just barely meeting asking you for those
And they
things, like,
kind
oh,
of
I need this.
forcing you, they kind of forcing you. I mean, this is, as a woman, I can tell you, it's not even fun. Like, if you have to force somebody to do something for you, it's just, it's, the joy, because you have something that you get, maybe a service or object, and there is an emotional, joy to it. So if you had to force somebody, you may get the whatever you wanted, but it's not gonna be enjoyable and fun, because the whole point is to that moment when you're really appreciating something. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm loving this, I'm loving this dress, or I'm loving these earrings, like, oh my god, it's so, because maybe she can even buy it herself, for like, let's say. But when somebody gives you that, there is that emotional thing, that's what actually making you happy, because you get used to everything you have. When you get yourself a new car, you love it for a week, for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks. After about a year, you kind of know it's there, and you're looking for something else. So it's a joy that came from, because he wanted to give
Right.
you this. So, and I think it's really important that you just paid attention, that it just was wrong. It was just so wrong, the whole attitude. It is true that the more men invest in you, the more you feel like he's serious, but not when you force it and make it happen. um and you as a driver, as a woman, this is wrong, my dear friends, if you're watching this.
Yeah. And then I met another lady who just, she didn't listen. There's one, I mean, she's a great gal, but I had to repeat myself so many times,
Mhm.
because I felt like she was like that dog from Up, like squirrel. I mean, she was like, things were just happening, and the way I wrapped the date up with her, because I only had one date with her, I was just like, I'm sorry, there's this, I couldn't deal with that. And because all she would say, I would say something, she'd go, what, and because she wasn't listening, she was so looking at everything and not even paying attention to
Mhm.
what I was saying. So that was an easy date. That was an easy one. It's like, yeah, if she's not into you, if she's not paying attention, there's another red flag. Another red flag is I had a date where she was just wanting different things than what I want. And as a guy, she was a very beautiful woman. I'm not gonna lie, but you cannot sacrifice the things that you want for a pretty face.
Mhm.
And it's because I would see in that relationship that I wouldn't have been fulfilled, because she wants certain things in my life, and which are completely different from what I want. So that was an easy one. Um, I met a girl. We both had the same mutual feeling at the end of the date that we were just going to be friends, and that's great. I went to meet people. I met people. We still talk and stuff like that. Um, but then I met their current lady that I'm now in a relationship with, a serious relationship, and it's and the one of the things that really brought me attention to her. She's like, when we first started corresponding, starting letters to each other, she's like, I don't like the fact that you're dating other women. I said, I can understand that. I can absolutely agree. Is that it's not the ideal situation, but you kind of have to see it through my point of view. And she's like, okay, I understand, you know, and we ended up talking. She's a teacher. She plays professional volleyball, and she is one of the things is that what really kind of draw me to her is the fact that she was so honest to me from the very beginning. She was very genuine, very, and then when we met, you know, it's you have those little feelings, you know, you can't stop looking at each other. You know, you light up like when she came in the room and we started talking and just, you know, she's very calm, very um, you know, she takes very good care of herself, and it was just her demeanor, like everything that she did, she paid attention to the things that I was saying, and it's just, and it was easy, and her English wasn't that great, but we overcame that. You know, if I didn't understand something, or if I couldn't say something in my limited Russian that I know, you know, we pulled up Google Translate, we did those things, and it wasn't a hard thing to do, and we got past that. And the more time that we spent together, you know, it just, we didn't have to work. It was just we just be able to enjoy each other's time, you know. And I would sit there and catch her, and she'd look at me and smile, and I would look back and smile at her, you know. You just, you see the chemistry that was there. And even now it's just, it's still there. Like we'll send each other messages, and we talk every day, like throughout the day. And it's something that I would say through to be, and also, you know, we did simple things. We just went for a walk. We enjoyed just having a cup of coffee together. We,
Mm-hmm.
during the weekends that I was there, they had shut down during Ukraine, so all the businesses were closed. Everything was closed down during the weekend, and so we had a date where she just came over to my Airbnb. We sat down, we just talked. It was just like a regular day. It was just like,
Mm-hmm.
and we ordered we ordered some sushi, and I got to learn how to order in Ukrainian, and so that was fun. And she showed me everything. I did, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
stuff like that. And one of the things that really, I knew that we are going to be a serious relationship. We were at this Chinese restaurant in Kiev, and she knows that I'm from New Mexico. She knows I like green chili is our thing out here. We put chili on everything, and you know, and so she knows I like spicy food. So she ordered my meal for me and had the restaurant custom make it to make it spicy for me.
Mm-hmm.
And
Nice.
it was just one of those things. And I told her that the other day. I said, I was like, man, I said, I knew there was something special about you because you paid attention.
Because you
And
ordered my
my
special
food,
food.
you know, and
Hey,
that's
food
because
is
that was
important.
important. The food is very important. And but the fact that she remembered that from our first date, you know, and it had been, you know, like a couple weeks, you know, since that day. And it was the fact that she was very attentive. She was very um just wanting to be with me. And we had
Mm-hmm.
talks about, you know, what we talked about, you know, in a previous video about not wanting to come to the United States. She is ready to go. She is like, my parents know. She's like, they know that I'm in search. You know, she dated a guy from Germany before, but she's like, this is what I want. So this is my life, and
Mm-hmm.
I want to be with you, no matter whether that's you're in the United States or you move to Ukraine, wherever you're gonna go. I want to be there, and that's his just.
That is a
It's an
very
amazing thing.
healthy attitude. Yes, and I like that because she said, I'll move if that's what we need to do, or we can live here. That is so important to realize. I mean, everybody wants to have a better life, so there's nothing wrong with that. But when you meet the man you want to be with, where you're going to be with him is not as important, as long as you're together. And he, of course, Ukrainian women do expect you to be able to take care of the family, but if she is truly into you, you come first, and then where you're going to be living, what country, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, like we had our first Zoom date yesterday.
Oh.
So we called each other up on Zoom, and she had some food, I had some food, and we just
Mm-hmm.
sat and just talked. And she has a birthday coming up next week, so I'm just excited for her. So and we just enjoyed that time. And she makes that's the whole thing. Is I can tell you guys, she will make the time for you, even with this whole hours difference. We designated a time. So for me in Kiev right now, it's 9 hours. She's 9 hours ahead of me in mountain time. So, and she was like, okay, we're gonna, so I had breakfast and she had dinner, and we just ate and chatted with each other. And it's just, you'll know that things are serious, and she's excited. She's constantly telling me, she's like, I miss you. And she she wants to be here. But her being a teacher, she's like, I have one requirement. She's like, before I would move to the United States, I have to make sure that it's by the end of the year, so that her students, so she's done teaching for that year. So it shows me a lot about her personality, that
Mm-hmm.
she takes her profession very seriously, because I used to teach myself, and that was an important trait for me, because some people would have been like, okay, let's move right away. No, she
Mm-hmm.
wants to be with her students until the end of the school year,
But
and
with the
then move
K1
up.
visa, I don't think you could do it any faster than that.
Right, it's gonna take a while, because she knows and that's one thing, is that we talk about these things, and she knows that the next time that I come out in July, I'm already planning my trip to go out back in July, and we're gonna take a small vacation, just me and her together,
Mm-hmm.
and then come back, meet her parents, and then from there, we're gonna start the K1 visa process. Is from that point.
Yeah. Yeah, you realize it's gonna be like another year from that point. So
Yeah.
it's gonna be a long time. So she doesn't, yeah, she doesn't have to worry that to be fast. I wish that would be a problem, but for things being fast, but they're not very fast.
Yeah.
Um, do you um can I just want to ask you, you decided to go in July because you have like a vacation in July, or
We decided to July's because she's done teaching at that time. Um,
she's a
she
brave woman. That's a long wait till July.
it is a long wait. And I told her, I was like, "Are you sure about this?" She's like, "Yes." She's like, "Because I could come
Okay.
earlier, but the thing is that she's like, she has to work, and she works hard. And she's like, because even for like Christmas, they only get like 3 weeks off, and she's like, I spend one of those weeks with her parents, and the other week she likes to go
Mhm,
skiing, so that's one of the hobbies that she likes to do.
mhm,
And
mhm.
but during that time, is that she wants to spend as much time with me. But when I was there, because she was teaching, it made it hard. And she's like, I want to do those things. She's like, I know it's a long time, but she's like, well, we'll make it through. And she's very positive about that, which is like also a good sign about it. Um, because for me, I was like, well, when you get like a spring break? And she's like, well, she really doesn't technically get one, because she's with volleyball, and so she's pretty busy with that.
Mhm.
And she said that's important for her, that the next time that I come, she wants to be able to
Be
spend
free.
as much time, be free of those
Mhm.
obligations, so that she can spend time.
That's not, if it sounds like it really due to her personal things that she's doing and her career, and it sounds like it works out for you. It just that it's the best, because, and I think it's important to spend a lot of time before you propose, and like to really get to know her, almost like spend 24/7 together, because
Yeah.
it is important to get that time before you take that leap. But I mean, it's a commitment. I mean, she's brave and she's very dedicated, because honestly, it's like what, another 9 months or something.
Yeah, it's
Like
eight months from right now.
yeah,
So
it it feels like, I don't know. I feel sometimes that I'm still like a child, and sometimes because you know how you tell a child, well, we do this in like next month, and it feels like next century, you know, like. But
yeah,
I think she didn't just say it. Oh, July is great. I think she looked at her schedule as things that she already planned because she obviously had life before she met you, and
yep.
it sounds like she's very invested, and she has a reason why she wants it to be July because she wants to spend all of her time with you. So that's I respect that. It's hard to do, but
It is, because cause
man,
believe me,
that's a long
I wanted
time.
to go out. I wanted to go out in March, like when she have like a little break, but she's like, I can't. She's like, it would be like this time that we were together, and I just can't. She's like, I can't spend as much time that I want to with you if
Mhm.
you come earlier.
Yeah,
And
but on the other hand, I just want to tell you, on the other hand, if you really miss her in spring, and tickets are available, you can still say, hey, can I just So I think she feels
yeah,
this is the Ukrainian thing. I just want to tell you all. So she feels if she can't do it 100%, she would not do it at all. By living here in United States, become or became less perfectionist. So sometimes I can have something sloppy and imperfect, and I'm happy that I'm getting it done, even though it's not. But we are really hard on ourselves, and if something is like imperfect, and that was it's very very hard for me too. I understand her so well, so she feels pressure and guilt. If you make the real genuine woman, if you make it all the way from US to Ukraine, and she has her work or she has other commitments, and she's not with you there every day like and every evening, and she feels guilt and pressure that, oh my god, he's there and I'm not there. So she
yeah,
feels unless she can do it 100%, she can't do it at all. But I kind of feel empathy because I know how difficult it is not to see somebody. So yeah, I mean, it's really between you two what works for you. But this is hard because you probably
yeah.
thinking, I would just see you, like, just come to me in the evening or come to me for a weekend. But um it sounds like she feels like she wants to do it differently. Yeah.
Yeah, she works hard, and she tutors. So she tutors after school. Like on our last date, we she had to like tutor one of her students like for an hour, and we just and then she after she got done, we continued our date. I mean, she's a very extremely hard worker, and that was the one thing that she didn't like. Like I had to see her on days she didn't have volleyball, or days where she normally would sleep in and she'd wake up early to come see me, and it made it hard, like because we wanted to spend more time together. That
Mhm.
was during this whole pandemic, that which made things harder, and the fact that she works so hard, because just to make her living, is that she works all the time, and she just
Mhm.
wanted to be with
Yeah,
me.
I get it. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's just the personality. Some people are more driven than the others because I think it just she's so used to it. She probably could change it now when she has somebody who's seriously interested in her. But I think it's gonna take some time for her to kind of maybe change things a little bit. Yeah, she sounds very
no,
driven.
she loves her students, and that's one of the things what's really which I really speak highly of her of, because the fact
Mhm.
is that she's really dedicated. She tutors all the time, and she calls them her children, and that's, as a teacher, that's what we do. When I was teaching fifth grade, you would call them your kids, because you get to know them, you see them all the time, and
Mhm.
they become part of your family, and you'll do anything for your students. Teachers, as are very underpaid, no matter where they are in the world.
Yeah.
Um, and because they do so much, and that's one of the things that's really that I look to her,
What does she
that's
teach?
she teaches mathematics, and
Mhm.
she teaches kids that are from like 7 years old all the way to 15. And
Mhm.
so And so she's quite busy all the time, and like she sent me pictures of her and her students as they're studying, and and she's, she works hard, and I told her, I was just like, I was just like, yeah, and I see that, and I see how much it hurt her, like when she had to go. She's like, I have to leave because I have to be up early tomorrow, or
Mhm.
I won't be able to see you for a couple days. um but during those times we talked, and that's the whole thing, is like we talk throughout the day into the evening. We usually have a video chat almost every night. um
Mhm.
she knows that it's important. um and the communication's important, especially because I told her, I said, how long this is? She's like, yes, I know. I said, how hard it's going to be? She's like, yes, I know. And she's but she, like you said, and she just wants to spend that time, and I know she feels guilty about it. Like the last week I was there, she didn't go to a volleyball practice, and she was
Mhm.
just like, she's like, I told my coach, she's like, I have to spend time with you.
Wow.
And
That is, that tells you a lot.
yeah,
That tells you a lot. Wow. Because
yeah,
when you have
she's
your passions, she really saw you as as somebody that's really important, because generally if you're just dating somebody, you don't really need to cancel your routine, your important things. You just say, hey, I'm sorry, but I have this, I have that. So when somebody cancels things like this for you, and it really means they prioritize you as much as they can. Because we need to
yeah,
always remember, when we come to visit somebody, we are on vacation, but they are
right.
living their regular life.
Yep.
And I know that feeling. It's like you always feel this, like you don't want to be you don't want to come out as you're not hospitable or you don't care. It just, so it's that's why it is nice to plan. Once you already know somebody, it's nice to plan, because when you plan,
Yep.
that person will plan, so they have time for you, and obviously you have vacation. Because once again, very often we think if we are on vacation, when we come, everybody else is on vacation too.
Yeah.
But it's not the
And
case.
it's and if she's not working, she doesn't get paid. And that's
Mm-hmm.
one of the things, out there, that, a few of our dates that I knew that she went on, I knew she was losing money.
Mm-hmm.
Because she could have stayed and worked,
Yes.
and that's a sacrifice that she was making on her end, because she still has her bills to pay, she still has all those things to take care of, and she's gave that time to me.
Yes, and this is a very interesting and important point. And I would say for men who are, when you know that your lady is dedicated, she works hard and things like that, she may not ever let you understand that. But when you're serious, with a lady, you can find a way to, not in a some rude way, or but you may find an elegant way to support her, or compensate some things for her. Because I understand those battles. And sometimes people invite you, or your man invites you somewhere, and you have this appointment, this client, that client, or student, and you get paid. And so, or when you take your days off, and people like don't understand. It's like when you work for yourself, or you do these things, people don't understand. You don't want to tell them, actually my time is money. And because it will
Yeah.
sound very rude. Almost no good lady will tell you that, would ever share that. But this is so very important for you guys to understand, that when it's somebody that is special for you, you can find an elegant way to support her. So she feels mental guilt for missing her appointments or her students, but you can find a way to support her, so she can she's not gonna suffer financially because she's out with you, traveling, or spending time with you. I'm just saying this because when you care about the lady, you find a way to do these things. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree. Like one of the times that, yeah, I gave her some cab fare, I gave her extra, and she didn't see that. I mean, I gave her way more than what she needed, and
Mm-hmm.
because I know it's just like, you could have made this much of my money, and I
Yeah.
because I did all the calculations in my head. because I'm a numbers person. I am, and so I got to
I
think of the bottom
see.
line. And so, I gave her extra money. She was like, "This is more than my cap." I said, "I know, it's for you." And
Mhm.
you can just see the sincerity in her face, and like she's like, that she this happiness, that she
Mhm.
was able to, still see me, but not lose out on
Yeah.
something that she technically could have been gotten paid for.
Right, and it's just I just want to say, Ukrainian people in general are a little bit more shy about the money. For example, especially the good, the good ladies, they would be, if they buy you a gift, they would, definitely not tell you. They're not gonna be saying, well, it was really expensive. Like, when it comes to gifts or things, you can give a hint, but you always remove the tags. You always you just wanted to make it smooth. It's kind of, you would be ashamed to even if this your life depends on this money to pay that particular bill or whatever it is, you would be ashamed. I'm just telling you guys, you would be ashamed to even move your tongue to say, I really need this amount. Like, it's almost like
Yep.
we were taught that when you compare love to money, you're just really super shallow person. So how can you compare a meeting with a person you love, or person, is what is your love interest, and to whatever amounts of money? Like, you're heartless or you're shallow if you're doing this. And so that is amazing that you were able to figure this out, because most men, when I tell them these things, they are surprised, and then the girl would feel bad to give you bill. Oh, I spent three days with you out in this vacation, here's the bill. I
Right.
mean, that would look bad, but
It would.
even if it's relevant, right?
Yeah. And it is because just because of the cultural differences on how, like, if you get sick in Ukraine and you're working there, they don't pay you. We have sick leave. If you have a corporate job, they pay you for a lot of things, for
Yeah.
that they don't in Ukraine. And that's the whole hard truth about it. And that's why they they don't like talking about financial problems. They don't like saying, I struggled, because of,
Mhm.
yes, I want to spend time with you, but yeah, they're too reserved. They're too shy to tell you these things. And, but that's something as the guy you need to realize is that, yeah,
Mhm.
they struggle. It's hard. It's hard on them. And every little dollar, every good if not, it all matters over there. And especially for them, because they're living in the big city is a little bit more expensive than they're living, outside in the smaller village. And so their costs are a little bit more. But it's one of those things that you have to take that in consideration, and
Mhm.
don't feel obligated that you have to do it, but that's something that you should want to. And if it's a true, genuine relationship, I don't mind doing that. And because you get to see the joy. They're like, you give them enough money, like, oh wow, I can get the lotion that I needed.
Mhm.
I can go get something extra that I wouldn't been able to buy,
Mhm.
because you support. The funniest gift that I gave her, and it's the one thing that cost me the most, was toothpaste. I, was was Crest toothpaste. So, and when she I don't she came to my Airbnb, like, at the it was this was before I left to Ukraine, and she was like, "You have Crest toothpaste?" I'm like, "Yeah." How? you know, and so I, I was sitting there. I'm like, "Really?" She's like, "I like Crest toothpaste," and I was like, do you want it? She's like, no, no, no. She's like, she's like, when you come back, you bring me toothpaste. And so on our last date, before she took the cab ride home, I brushed my teeth and I gave her the toothpaste, and the smile on her face was priceless. And I was like, wow, I got this smile over toothpaste. And she's like, it's my favorite toothpaste. You can't get it in Ukraine. You can't get Crest here, and it's really good.
Yeah,
And I
that's
was
what
just
I
like,
saw. It's not that she cannot afford toothpaste. It's just the brand that Ukraine does not have. Yes.
right. And so she's like, well, now when you come back in July, you need to bring toothpaste. So, but it was just the funniest thing, and it's just so genuine about it,
Yeah.
um, and those things, and you just and as Americans, you kind of take those things for granted. So if you guys go out, so one thing is like bring a couple extra things of toothpaste if it does work out because they like Crest.
Yeah. But there are some things you bring from Ukraine that people love here. There is some
Yeah,
things, you can bring, like, you guys, I have a fur shop, you can buy some beautiful fur and leather coats in Ukraine that people here who are into this kind of thing would appreciate. So I feel like
yeah,
every country has something. In America has toothpaste. Now we know.
yeah. And I tried that Ukrainian cherry wine that they make out there. Um, that was delicious, and I brought some of that back home as for gifts for some of my family, and we actually
It's not a
had
cherry
that.
wine, it's a liquor. We call it
It's a
liqueur,
liquor,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's and so I went to the little
Oh, it's
shop
so
that was
good.
by it. It is
Uh-huh.
delicious. And I was like, wow, so I brought some home for gifts and
Yeah.
we had that for Thanksgiving actually. We celebrated with my family. We actually were able to I'm like, here's something from Ukraine, and everyone really liked it. And I was just like, yeah, it's but
Yeah,
yeah, there's
it's
certain things.
special. It's special, those things that are different, they are really special, and they have very emotional, value and meaning too, because when it comes from somebody, it comes from the experiences. So it's like a special treasure, so she'll treasure the toothpaste and you treasure the cherry wine, or,
Yeah.
as we call it in Ukraine, cherry liquor, vishnyovый
Yeah.
liqueur. Oh my God, don't even tell me about it. It's so perfect for the winter.
It is because you have it warm, and that's what I did. I had it, went to the shop, and I was like, "Wow, this is really nice."
It is so good. I don't know if you ever had hot wine. We also do, like, hot wine. We put cloves and cinnamon, and it's like hot
Yeah,
wine you drink in the winter. That's how we keep
mulled
warm.
wine. Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah, it's fun. So yeah, so guys, all of these are, genuine sign of genuine. All of these are signs of a genuine lady. Nobody is perfect. Nobody is always 100% on everything, but you can see by the way somebody is planning their time, including you in their time, and trying to also show you that you matter. You can see these things, and I think this is one of the reasons why people agree for long distance, because they know that maybe they're not able to find somebody like that with similar values, or just the person they met somewhere is just so precious to them because of their qualities, because of their, even just the way they interact with you. You just know it has so much value to you that you're willing to go through 9 months of not seeing each other, seeing each other maybe via digital devices, which we are blessed to have. But there are always those of you who been through the red flags and things like this. Don't spend too much time trying to justify something if it doesn't feel right to you. Even if you justify it, it's not gonna make you feel happy. You're not gonna feel happy because, oh, the person justified why they couldn't see you, and it happens all the time. If that does not fulfill your needs, if you are the kind of man that you know you know how you want to feel in a particular relationship. So if you're not getting it, you don't always need proofs. You want to feel certain way.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's one thing I can say, guys, is just the advice for me on this is that anytime that you feel uncomfortable, if you feel that, they're forcing you to do something, just get out. It's okay. There's plenty more there's plenty more fish in the sea, as they say. But and there's the right person out there for you. And when you do find them, you don't have to work. You don't have to force. You get to be yourself, and they get to be themselves, and you will see how much. And that's one thing I can say about Ukrainian women is when they give a lot when they really care.
Yes, you definitely will feel it. You know, if everything is very questionable, then you know the answer.
Yeah,
Oh, it's a new quote. If
yeah,
everything is if everything she does is questionable, then you know the answer. Because when Ukrainian lady is into you, you will have a definite signs of it. You won't have to just have this wonder mindset, because at some point she will show you affection. You know, she will find a way. And in case with Joseph, it's like she has the entire plan and vision, and she just knows what she wants. You know, she doesn't want Joseph to
yeah,
wait. And you know, so yeah, it's not that, you know, they say mysterious Russian soul, or you know, mysterious Slavic soul, but it's not that mysterious.
no,
Yeah, it's, you know, Ukrainian women are feminine, so they're not gonna pursue you or do take decisions for you, but they will do their part to reciprocate.
I
So
agree.
yes. So, my dear friends, I hope that was a lot longer than we were going to, but I really enjoyed, you know, Joseph sharing so openly about his experiences. And is there anything else you want to say in the end? And I just want to say thank you so much for, you know, uh, responding to my offer to share about what you have been through, good and bad.
Yeah, no, it was my pleasure. And, guys, I'd say just, take that risk. Get up, get off the couch, make that trip over to Ukraine. Even if you just go to meet people, you're going to enjoy yourself. You're going to enjoy the food. You're going to enjoy the architecture out there. There's so many things to see. Um, and don't be afraid about it. It's, you gotta, the typical fizz, you only live once, and you got to get out there. And if you're on the fence from seeing if this is right for you, you just got to go. You just got to make that commitment, do whatever it takes, and just go, because you will enjoy yourself. Even if you meet some new friends, you're going to enjoy yourself. If you meet that special lady out there, it's going to all make it worth it.
I totally agree. Thank you so much for this encouragement. You know, you never know about something unless you tried it. You know, it's real easy to live through other people's experience, you know, watching videos on end, which I don't blame you. Thank you for watching my videos. But at some point, you know, you feel like, you know what, it's time. It may differ a little bit, depends on, you know, on your goals and your career, on your schedule, but honestly, you can never be in a relationship before you meet somebody, even if it feels like to you. You can never really feel the culture. You gotta feel it on your own skin. You know, when you're traveling somewhere, like maybe you're seeing the beautiful mountains, or you're somewhere on the ocean, you make a video about it, and it shows a lot, but it never shows how it really feels on your skin. You know, you have to feel it on your skin, you have to feel it in your heart. Plus your experience gonna be completely different than somebody else's. You know, some people see the glass half empty, some people see the glass half full.
Yep.
So with that being said, thank you so much again, Joseph, for joining. And dear friends, those of you who are watching, feel free to ask a question to Joseph. Feel free to request some more topics, and just you know, maybe comment to your favorite part, or you know, what was funny to you, or maybe you can relate to some of these experiences. But no matter what you do, if you don't give up. We are recording this with Joseph. We had a little bit of a crazy day today, but we are recording this today because we feel like it's a good time to release this information, to encourage people. As I said earlier, it feels like the worldwide media just want you to be stuck at home, and the airplanes are not flying. So far, even with all these restrictions, the planes are flying. And We gotta support the world tourism and the country of Ukraine, right?
Absolutely.
Yes. So, with that being said, because I mean, I know it sounds kind of weird, but it does feel that the planes are not flying, that they kind of make you feel that you cannot do certain things. Yes, you have to follow, you may have to take the test, you may have to do certain things, but if that is important for you, that's a crucial time of your life, don't let anything stop you. Use this time to your advantage, and you have less competition now because a lot less people are traveling. So, with that being said, we're gonna say goodbye for now. And if you love this kind of videos, let us know and we'll do some more. Thank you.
Thank you.